Hey everyone, this is Bizarre Individual, and today we're going to be doing part 3 of my LGBTQ plus recommendation video. I did a part 1, which was my top 5 yaois. I did a part 2, which was out of print LGBTQ friendly or completely LGBTQ plus titles, and then now I am doing a in-print LGBTQ plus recommendation title video. These are not going to be in any order like my first video or my second, and this video is just going to be everything that I recommend. Yeah, so I guess let's just get started, and happy Pride Month, and yeah. And first up, this is a title that I recommend to anyone. It is on the top of all my favorite manga lists. It is My Brother's Husband by Jan Tag Game, and I would highly recommend this because it is more of a educational manga in the sense of it is not, I don't know how to say this, gay focused. It is more of learning and accepting people for who they are, and more of judging them by if they are a good person or a bad person, rather instead of their sexuality. But it's pretty much starts off with this family right here, a single dad and his little girl, and she finds out that her dad's twin brother's husband is coming to visit from Canada to Japan because his twin brother recently passed away, and his husband wants to know how his passing partner grew up, and just wants to learn more information about his childhood to kind of get more closer to him. And yeah, it's just such a very, very, very sad overall premise. But in doing so, he doesn't necessarily have anything against being homosexual, but he just doesn't understand it, and he doesn't want to be judged by society, and he's just kind of really nervous about him coming to stay with him. And he kind of learns through how his daughter betrays situations. Like, she just doesn't understand why people are judging or pushing people away because of who they love. She more sees it as him being just this really fun, loving guy, and people are just judging him just by him being in love with someone, and she just can't understand or doesn't understand the logic behind that, which, like, it's pretty much how, you know, you wish that you saw other people, and also you wish that people saw you, versus what sexuality you are, what race you are, pretty much your identity. But yeah, it's just such a sad, charming, sweet, it's kind of depressing, but kind of really uplifting and hopeful, and I just really highly recommend this title. Next up, jumping into a more of a comedic and wacky title, Kiss Him Not Me by Jinko. Oh my god, I absolutely love this title so much. It is so funny. It is pretty much about this otaku girl that is just obsessed with BL, and anything has to do with guy on guy. She ships regular shows, like the two main, even if they're not, you know, bi or gay, she pretty much ships them together and makes up like long scenarios of how and why they should be together. And she also loves to ship guys in real life. She is kind of quiet and shy. She is bigger, and one day one of her favorite crushes, her favorite obsessions, dies, and she just becomes so depressed. She stops eating, and voila, she turns into what you see on the cover. And guys just start noticing her more, and it's pretty much her trying to decide which guy, it's kind of like an Adoma game, which guy she will go after, and they each have different characteristics and different personalities, and at the end of the day, she's just kind of like, I don't really want anyone, I just want y'all to make out and kiss him, not me. And it's just such a fun time about otakus and BL and cosplaying, and yeah, it's just, I love it. Just love it so much. Next up is Paradise Kiss, which this volume is out of print. It's a 5-volume series by Tokyo Pop, but they republished it, and I believe Vertical, maybe? I'm not sure, but they have published it in an all omnibus collection, so it is back in print, and I highly recommend getting the omnibus. This series is just so much fun. It is about fashion, and this chick named Yurkuri, and she wants to pretty much, she makes really good grades, and her parents really make her live, at least I believe it's just her mom, I'm not sure, might be both, I think it's just her mom, holds her really accountable for her grades and has really high expectations of her, and she makes really good grades, but then her true passion is fashion. She meets these people in art school and becomes friends with them, and they want her to model, so she kind of has to decide whether or not she's going to make her family happy or make herself happy. And it is just such a fun time. There is definitely LGBTQ rep all the way through, as not just the fashion, but there is a I hate using the word, not a drag queen, but a transsexual. Her name is Isabel, and she's such an amazing character, and I absolutely love her so much. There's also bi representation. George is bi, the main guy, the main bad boy, and I just absolutely love this series. So please definitely go pick it up. I am trying my hardest not to also get the omnibus, as I am trying to just get one of, each copy, but it's just so good. I want it all, but I'm talking myself out of it. But anyways, and just a side note, I really wanted him and George to get it on, but he is straight and dating her, but I do really like her. But next up is All Dreams at Dusk. Everyone has heard about this title. It is pretty much this individual discovering themselves and their identity and who they are, and stumbles upon this house of other different type of people that are discovering their gender and sexual orientation, and it is just a very sad but charming ride. I will say that I did not enjoy this as much as everyone else did, but I do really highly recommend it and really appreciate this for what it does. And I did really enjoy it, don't get me wrong, and I do recommend it. It's just, it didn't live up to the hype for me, but with that aside, I did really enjoy it, and definitely check it out. It is a 4-volume series by Seven Seas. And another Seven Seas title that I do believe is going to also be 4 volumes long. 3 volumes are out in English, but I do believe that the 4th one is going to be the last one, and I'm just going to wait until they're all published. I read the first 2 volumes, and I cried so hard that I don't think I can read volume 3 and then go back and also read volume 4, so I'm just going to wait until it's complete, and I'm just going to go read it and just have a cry fest. And oh my god, this just hits home for me. It is about a non-binary individual that decides to work in a Maids Cafe, and each individual in the Maids Cafe is coming to terms, or is at terms with who they are as a person, and either their sexuality or their gender, or also, on top of everything else, does gender and sexuality really matter in the end? This is just such a touching tale, and about these group of coworkers, friends, and yeah, it's just a mix of gay, straight, bi, non-binary, lesbian, bisexual, just anything that you can think of. Some people cross-dress, some people are transsexual, just everything. Some people, you know, it's just a mix of everything, and it's just so wonderful to see in a manga, and I just highly recommend it. And this one definitely lived up for the hype for me. I put Blue Flag off for quite a while now, and I decided to get volume 2 because Shay, I'll link her down below, over at Shay Geeks Out, gifted me volume 1 for my birthday, I think 2 or 3 years ago. And I was like, wow, I'm being super rude by not reading a gift. So I bought volume 2 in a sale, and I regret not starting it sooner. I read, I think I read volumes 1 and 2, and then the next day I went out and got 3 and 4. 5 was not out at the time, and I recently read 5, and I'm just going to read 6 and 7 once 8 comes out, which is the last final volume. This is the signature by Viz, and this is actually a seinen, so which is quite different from a lot of these other titles, which are either shoujo or josei. This was also a seinen, but I actually think this might be a seinen too. Anyways, I need to look that up because now I'm actually quite interested. But Blue Flag is just such a touching title about these high school kids, and more of a square than a triangle, but it just keeps introducing new amazing characters. It starts off with these two right here when they are younger, and kind of the feelings between them, and this guy has feelings for his best friend, and still does, but they kind of draw apart. They kind of go their separate ways in, I believe it's high school, and then he starts dating her, but she has a thing for him, and it is just, it's all about emotions and feelings and just a mix of other characters, and it's just so wonderful. And I also cried during this one. And yeah, I just really highly recommend it, and I do believe everyone's already read it, and probably farther than volume 5 than me. But yeah, pick it up if you haven't. You will not be disappointed. Like I said, I put it off for a while and I regret it, so pick it up. Revolutionary Girl Utena is definitely a classic, and this volume is after the revolution, which takes 20 years, place after the manga or the anime, and I do recommend starting at the beginning. I just didn't feel like bringing out that huge box set for the manga, so I just grabbed the extra like volume. But yeah, this series is about this chick named Utena that wants to be a prince and just decides that she can be her own prince, and she just kind of has to go through high school. She wears a boy's uniform, and it just gets bizarre, you guys. It gets so bizarre when she meets the student council and the secrets that they hold, and yeah, it is just a wild, wild ride. There is incest in this. There's just everything that you can think of in this anime. But the manga is definitely a lot. It takes a lot out of the anime in a good way. Like, I recommend both of them, but the manga is definitely a condensed version of the anime. But and the manga doesn't have much LGBTQ plus representation in it, but I still recommend it, and it definitely would still count for Pride Month. But anyways, yeah, definitely give this a go if you haven't. If you like dark, twisted, bizarre, episodic tales. And way to go 7Cs for printing another LGBTQ plus title. The Bride Was a Boy. This title, funny story, my manager was making fun of my sexuality at my old job, and he pulled out a book that another staff was reading and was like, "Oh, Michael, I bet this is yours because you're gay." And it was, I think it was Gossip Girl or something, and I was like, I said, "No, it's not mine." And he said, "Oh, I bet it is, and you just don't want to tell us because it's girly." And I said, "Okay, well, let me pull out of my bag what I'm reading now, and I'm not ashamed." I pulled this out, and he's like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess you would tell us what you're reading then." I said, "Yep, yeah, I sure would. No shame." Anyways, The Bride Was a Boy is a true story that she writes about herself. Let me see if I can discover her name, as it was a couple years ago. Yeah, she wrote kind of like a biography about herself and her struggles becoming who she wanted to be. She was always scared that she was never going to find love, and this man came along and was like, "I love you," and she's like, "But I'm not completely what society would expect." And he's like, "I don't care, I love you." And she just, it definitely took some time to get there, and she definitely went through some struggles in her life. And I just love reading like based on true stories, and I'm getting more manga like that. I haven't read My Lesbian Experience or My Solo Lesbian Diaries or whatever that one was. I haven't read those yet, but I'm definitely looking forward to reading other based on true story mangas. But yeah, like this one was just so sweet and so good, and yes, I read it at work, and no shame. And this one is also by 7Cs. It is going to be a 5-volume series. It is BL Metamorphosis, and this one, I bawled my eyes out each volume. I am stopping at volume 3 and just waiting for it to finish, as I'm kind of doing with the other one. And yeah, it is just so good. It is about this chick right here, and she, sorry if you can hear my dog. I was honestly trying to make a video where it was a little bit more professional, but my dogs are not gonna let that happen. But anyways, it is about this chick right here, and she is a huge BL yaoi fan, and she is kind of in the closet about it. She doesn't want her family or friends to know, and so she can't really relate her hobby with anyone else because, yeah, she's kind of ashamed of it, which kind of aligns with what I was talking about before. But anyways, it's just really relatable because that was kind of me. Not anymore. But then she works in a bookstore, and this elderly lady right here was waiting for, I believe it was an art class or some sort of, she was waiting for some sort of class, and so she decides to pass time by going into a bookstore. She doesn't get out much, and so she goes back to the section that she used to visit, and of course the bookstore has moved around because she hasn't been there in a while, and it was some yaoi volumes, and she's like, oh well, let me give this a try, and she falls in love, and so she believes she goes back to the store, and they kind of connect and kind of start a friendship because they both have the love for BL in common. And they start hanging out, and it's just, oh my god, it's just so sweet and touching, and I just love it, and please read this. And yeah, Card Captor Sakura, and this is by Clamp, my favorite mangaka group artist, and I decided to definitely put this on my list, not because it's one of my favorite mangas of all time, but because it has so much friendly LGBTQ plus representation. Of course, if you know the history of it, when it came to America, a lot of that was edited out for kids purposes because they don't think the networks would allow that, a lot like Sailor Moon did. But first thing that it edited out was Sakura's brother is bisexual. He had a relationship with one of Sakura's female teachers, but then now he is officially dating, I guess I'll just spoil it, officially dating his best friend that Sakura actually also has a crush on. Yeah, it's just love squares and octagons and everything else with all the characters in here. Sakura's best friend, she is also in love with Sakura. Sakura's like, hey, I'm not like that way, but I still love you, and her friend's perfectly okay with it. She's just like, okay, well, I want you happy no matter if you're with me or not. So touching. And the boy Lee, or Sharon, person that Sakura ends up with, that they actually love each other, actually has a crush on the same guy that Sakura has a crush on and Sakura's brother is dating. Oh my god. So definitely not really watching this, but I guess I kind of did pick up on it watching it when I was a kid. But definitely as I read the manga and as I looked up things online, this throughout the years has definitely taught me that love is love, and it doesn't really matter who you love as long as you love. And I know that was kind of cheesy, but that's just kind of what I picked up out of this, and it's just a wonderful title. These unfortunately are out of print. The omnibus is by Dark Horse, but they're definitely reprinting them by Kodansha in like a collector's edition, and it is 100% worth it. They are beautiful. I believe that there's going to be 12 in total. There's 12 old Tokyo Pop volumes, that you can track down. They are kind of harder to find. There's the first part of the series that you can also get like older, but I do recommend getting the new collector's editions, and if you can find like a lot of these or a lot of the old Tokyo Pop, I definitely recommend getting them. Just please read the series. It is so fantastic. It's so cute, and I just love it to death, and yeah. And last on my list of 11 LGBTQ+ recommendations is Princess Jellyfish. This is such an amazing tale, even if it wasn't LGBTQ, about finding yourself and becoming who you are. It is about these ladies that are all different types of otakus, all different, obsessed with geek culture, and this chick right here is obsessed with jellyfish. And they all are they're kind of scared of anyone pretty in general, but they are so against men, as I guess because men kind of turn them down for their uniqueness in the past, so they're all kind of like against men, and they also just feel uncomfortable against men. I guess it's like also the insecurity. But anyways, this this chick right here, they believe they call it the hot ones, and they kind of turn this down. She appears, and it turns out that she is actually a he that dresses cross dresses. I have unfortunately read the first 4 omnibuses of this manga. I do need to get back to it and finish those 9 omnibuses. And it's by Kodansha, and I do recommend the anime. The anime is fantastic, but I hear that the manga goes past the anime, so I definitely need to hop on that. But this is just wonderful, and it's also about fashion, which kind of reminds me of Paradise Kiss that I showed earlier. But anyways, definitely go pick this title up. And thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed my recommendations, and see you next video.